Good morning, everyone. My name is Ahmed. I'm a clinical pharmacist in trauma services in Qatar. Today, we are going to speak about the interferon used in COVID 19 and what is the evidence behind such a practice. Today, objectives we will speak about the different viruses that hit the people before SARS, MERS, and what is the difference between them and the COVID 19. Then we will speak about the SARS coronavirus 2 that causing COVID 19 and its invasion to the cells, and what are the interferons, and then why interferon can be used as nebulizers, and some studies that support the use of interferon in COVID 19, and then what is the interferon doses used, precautions, and main side effects. So, first, the difference between the SARS, MERS, and COVID 19. SARS coronavirus 2, this is the name of the virus that causing severe pneumonia and ARDS in late 2019 and caused a syndrome called COVID 19. It emerged from China, especially from Wuhan and other Asian countries. They both have similar clinical representation, SARS, MERS, and COVID 19, but the phylogenetic analysis suggests that the SARS coronavirus 2 is more related like bat SARS coronaviruses. Today, actually, the fatality rate reaching today almost 6.3% from the SARS coronavirus and 2, and it is less than the SARS. SARS it was 9.5, so it's almost approaching the SARS now, and it's much lower than the MERS, which is 34.4%. It is very important to understand the actual reproductive number. It is a number or a figure that measures the ease by which the virus is spread from a human being to human being when they are in a close distance, 3 to 6 feet apart. And this R node, or the active reproduction number, is 2.5 times higher in the SARS coronavirus 2 than the SARS and MERS. When we try to understand the pathogenesis of the SARS coronavirus 2 that causes COVID 19, when the virus enter into the lungs and attach the spikes S protein to the alveoli, they attack a pneumocyte 2 in the lung cells, and then they enter they undergo fusion and endocytosis inside the lung cells, and there they use the machinery of the lung cells to reproduce and produce more of the virus, and then undergo multiplication and release outside of the cells. When the virus actually stimulate the immune system, the macrophage is stimulated, which is present in the lungs and in the epithelial cells. After this, the antigen presenting cells on the macrophages with the cytokines, both they stimulate the cellular immunity, and they activate T cells, which activate both CD4 and CD8 cells, that they release more cytokines, more inflammation, so the immune system can attack the virus and stop the spread of the virus to other sites, like the blood, brain, or the kidney. And on the other side, they also activate the humoral immunity by the activation of the antigen. When the antigen presenting cells um, is exposed to the antigen, they stimulate the beta cells, which stimulate the plasma cells and memory cells. Cells in turns release the antibodies in the blood, and these antibodies attack the virus, and now they use the convalescent plasma from the victims or the recovering patients to even use as a treatment for the other infected patients. The interferon called interferon because they interfere with the viral replication. There are three types of interferon: 1, 2, and 3. Interferon 1, they are a group of cytokines involving many subtypes, mainly alpha and beta. They are secreted mainly by dendritic cells. Upon the viral recognition with the interferon 1 will be secreted, then they will bind to their receptor called interferon receptor. Upon the binding with the receptor, ISG or interferon secreted genes will be activated. Interferon stimulated genes, ISG, then will be involved in different immunomodulation and inflammation pathway in the cells. These interferon, how the interferon slow the viral replication through slowing their cellular metabolism or secreting different cytokines to promote the adaptive immunity through the T lymphocyte or natural killer cells, like we just mentioned in the previous slides. And also interferon, they act as immunomodulator which sensitize the human cells to a viral protein, so they prevent the viral fusion or aggression. When we trying to find why interferon can be used as nebulizer, we will find many of the studies published on in vitro animal models, but rarely you will find a clinical study. One of the rare studies I found using interferon as nebulizer, it was a study published multi-center randomized prospective study on pediatric patients with respiratory syncytial virus and checking the use of interferon nebulization compared to the subcutaneous injection. And they found the benefit of nebulized interferon as the following. First, they have a rapid onset of action compared to subcutaneous injection. They have a direct action to mucosal epithelial cells in the lungs. That's why 3, they have less systemic side effects. And 4, they provide a benefit for pediatric patients, being a less invasive approach. Now, when we try to look to the evidence of using the interferon in the treatment of COVID-19 patients, we will find a lot of studies just recently started and registered on clinicaltrial.gov. But as a previous evidence, there is mainly 2 studies. One published in 2003 in the JAMA, and this study actually was trying to find if interferon used in combination with steroids, they have a benefit in the patient infected with SARS virus. Actually, the study was done on a very small number of patients, to only 22 patients, and it was done in Toronto, in Canada. In this study, which was again done on 22 patients in Canada between April 11 to 30 of May on 2003, in patients infected with SARS. So they tried to look for a positive outcome for the patient, and actually they found that the combo use of steroids plus interferon, they have 3 main positive outcome. The first one, those patients receive the combo, they have 11% less ICU admission compared to those who received steroid alone. The second benefit, they found that those patients receive the combo, steroids plus interferon injections, they have shorter time to a 50% resolution of the lung radiographic abnormalities. The third benefit, they found the combo administration, the steroids plus interferon, they have a better oxygen saturation compared only to steroids alone. The second study was published in the Lancet Infectious Diseases, and actually, this study was done on patients infected with MERS, again, not COVID-19. And in this study, they were investigating the combo use of ribavirin plus interferon alpha 2A for the MERS virus. They found the patients who received the combo ribavirin plus interferon have an additional benefit in the 14-day survival, but not on the 28-day survival. So they found those who received the combo of ribavirin plus interferon, they have almost 70% 70% survival rate compared to those 29% survival rate. But this was not again shown on the 28 survival days. It is worth to mention that also the population was very small. It was 20 patients, like the previous study, which was 22 patients. The dosage recommendation. For this, the main dosage recommendation for interferon use in COVID-19, it comes from a Chinese recommendation, and those working closely for mainly from the patient infected in Wuhan and China. The first dosage recommendation is the subcutaneous injection of pegylated interferon alpha 2A, which uses 100 micrograms subcutaneous once weekly for 2 weeks. The second interferon dosage recommendation that comes from China is the nebulization, using interferon alpha 2A, the non-pegylated form, 5 million units as a nebulizer twice a day for 2 weeks. When we come to the contraindication, interferon contraindicated in Steven Johnson syndrome, when it combined with the ribavirin interferon contraindicated in pregnancy. The Health Canada expanded the interferon contraindication to breastfeeding, psychiatric disorder, uncontrolled thyroid disorder, and autoimmune diseases. Main side effects of interferons are one, flu-like symptoms. When it comes to the CNS, they may have insomnia, depression, or fatigue. When it comes to the hematology, they mainly affect the blood picture, and the patient may have neutropenia. Regarding the GI, they mainly have an ALT increases, and the subcutaneous forms of interferon, they can have some injection site reactions. These are my resources for the entire presentation. Thank you, and this is my last slide. My email shown below. For any inquiries, please contact me on my email. And let's don't forget the 5 key elements in decreasing the spread of the infection. Thank you.